Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, it's spring training time. We've been having a nice off season, enjoying a little bit of different sports. We got the World Cup back in December. We got the college basketball tournament now in March. A little bit of World Baseball Classic too.
It's madness.
It is madness. So being that it's March Madness, that we are going to talk about sort of the madness that could be this year, the madness of what great careers were, because we have 7 names that we're going to look at today that could possibly retire in 2023. Dad, last year we saw some legends retire. We saw Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, and a real legend, Kevin Murnane, retired all in the same year, should be spoken in the same breath in 2022. Other names that retired that weren't obviously at that Hall of Fame level, Dexter Fowler, Rick Porcello, David Price, and some guy named Tom Brady. So all these people retired.
For now.
Yeah, for now, exactly. So as we just look towards 2023, I figured we'd take a look at, I really thought 7 names. Some are like Hall of Fame potential numbers. I mean, they've been staples of baseball for, the better part of 15 or more years. And I just wanted to appreciate their last year possibly. If you disagree with any of these 7 names, let me know if you think, no, I think he's got one more year in him, 2 more years, whatever it might be. But I want to also highlight some of the stats maybe they're going for, whether it's a certain amount of wins, strikeouts, hits, home runs. To kind of put them all in that, what are we watching out of Joey Votto or Miguel Cabrera this year? Mm-hmm. What should we be paying attention for? All right, so let's just start with Miggy Cab's dad. So this is an easy one. Miguel Cabrera has stated that this is his last year. Is that going to be true?
I think it is. I think, he's approaching 40.
He will be 40 this season,
Yep.
yeah.
So I'm thinking he has just an outstanding career. I remember him when he was with the Marlins and part of that youth movement, and they won the big title, and he was in the majors at 18 or 19 from Venezuela, I believe. So just a great player. I hope he's in the Hall of Fame, but talking about a hit machine, he was truly a hit machine during his time.
I don't think there's any hope about it. I think he's an obvious first ballot Hall of Famer. There really isn't any milestones to watch for Miggy. Already has had 500 home runs, already has 3,000 hits. Maybe kind of like a last season heroic, you get nominated for your last All-Star game. I don't think he'll earn it, but who else will represent the Tigers this year? Probably not many. So this will be his 13th or hopefully 13th All-Star game, which is just an insane amount of All-Star games. So to me, will retire, will be a Hall of Famer. Not much milestones to watch.
Yeah. Started as a third baseman, by the way.
Yeah. Many did. Let's talk to one of my favorite players of all time, but specifically in the last 20 years, Joey Votto. This is his last year of his contract. He has not said anything about retiring. He did have a pretty bad injury last year. He was able to play in the Field of Dreams game, but past that, he pretty much missed the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Has a lot of fun. Really fun character from Canada. He does have a team option on his contract, but obviously that could be declined. He's making a lot of money and not performing at that much money rate. He will also be 40 this year. Dad, thoughts before I go into his stats and milestones? Is this his last year?
I think it is. What a great career, and what a great ambassador for baseball. Very good with the media. Very good, I remember, with the Field of Dreams game last July, I believe. He was fantastic. Gave a great insight on baseball, on why he loves the game so much. Great. I mean, talking about Cincinnati, what a legend in Cincinnati. Stayed there during the lean years. You got to give him credit. True loyal baseball player to one team his whole career. You don't find that often.
I hope, this is more of the hope for me, that he gets in the Hall of Fame. He has a similar case like Dustin Pedroia, where, again, loyalty to one team will be in that team's Hall of Fame, but doesn't really have a traditional Hall of Fame pedigree. Both were one-time MVPs. Both are, fantastic players. But, hey, if Andrew Jones isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, I don't know about Joey Votto. His lifetime batting average right now is .297. So if he has a good enough year, could he have 300? I don't think he gets there, but something to watch.
Yeah.
He should hit 350 home runs this year. I think he's only a couple away, so that should be a pretty easy number to hit. And this isn't necessarily a stat, like a milestone to watch that's major, but he'll play his 2000th game this year. So that's a hell of a lot of games to have played in a certain amount
with one team.
With one team. So 2,000 games would be something to celebrate in Cincinnati, since there's not going to be much else to celebrate this year.
Do they do statues in Cincinnati for their great players? Because
I imagine.
He deserves a statue.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
think about the Big Red Machine. I mean, there's a lot of people that also deserve statues.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Great American Ballpark, they have a nice mustache outside their stadium. Remember that?
And a nice little bobblehead collection.
Yes. All right, Dad. Let's stay sort of in the. Let's stay in the NL Central here. Let's actually talk Andrew McCutchen next. So Andrew McCutchen's very interesting story. He's, I think, the youngest player on my list, but it almost feels a little, end of the road story for McCutchen. He re-signs with Pitt, not going to be the center fielder. Obviously, that's Reynolds' position. He's going to be a corner outfielder. Won't be playing 162 games. Another former MVP winner. So it just feels like his last year. But is it, according to you, Dad?
I think it is. I think no one really pursued him in the free agent market last winter. I think he kind of re-upped with Pittsburgh because he wanted to finish his career in Pittsburgh. Depending how the year goes will determine a great deal. But I think he's at the end of his reign. What a great ambassador for Pittsburgh. He was part of one of the greatest outfields in the National League for
Polanco
3 or 4 years. Yeah. And talking about, that's when they had a really good, exciting team. So I think he'll finish out the year, and then I'm thinking he's got a great career in coaching or something of that nature going forward, but I think this is last year.
I hope that the Pirates don't trade him. There's a few players on this list where, kind of like what the Orioles did with Mancini, hey, you're not going to win a championship here. Go win one with Houston or win one with a contender. Pittsburgh could be fun this year. There's a lot of talented players and youth on that team. They do. They have it's gonna be fun, especially with McCutchen as a team leader on that team. Tons of experience. But hopefully he stays in Pittsburgh. He should hit, hopefully, 300 home runs and get his 2,000th hit in a Pirates uniform, which is really cool. Very similar conversation to me as Joey Votto. Won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but also won't be first ballot off the Hall of Fame when it comes time in, now 5, 6, 7 years. But the NL Central is losing some real big names, and I'm about to go into a third. It already lost Pujols and Molina last year. Adam Wainwright is the, I think, oldest or second oldest person on my list. He's my second oldest person on this list. He will be 42 during the season. It is the last year of his contract. He's been doing a lot of short-term contracts, though. Thoughts on Adam, Dad, retiring?
Cub killer. I think he's going to miss Yachty very, very much. They're together for the longest time. I think this is not his last season. I think he's got one more in him. I think the Cardinals will go into the playoffs. They got a really good team, so I'm thinking as long as St. Louis makes the playoffs and gains some ground in there, he'll get a taste of the postseason. I think he'll stay around for one more year and go from there, but I thought he would go out with everybody else last year, but he might have. I say he has one more year after this year.
I think he retires because I just don't know how much longer old man Waino can continue.
He still throws a lot of breaking stuff.
I know.
And he's a competitor.
He is, and good for him, but this is a pretty easy, he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He should hit 200 wins this year. That's great, but he's only had 3 All-Star appearances, never a Cy Young, never an MVP, never really high up in either of those categories.
Steady, very steady.
Had 2 Gold Gloves as a pitcher, but that doesn't really mean anything for a pitcher in the long, scope of things. So, great Cardinal, but no, if this is the Hall, I like to look at this retirement class as, will this be the Hall of Fame class? Wainwright, if I only have one vote left, and it's got to go to Miggy Cabs, Votto, or McCutchen, obviously Miggy Cabs is getting it, but I'm skipping Waino to give to Votto or McCutchen.
Yeah, on that page, you have 2 people who've been with their one club their entire career, which is really rare, and somebody who went
Wainwright's
back.
been a Cardinals whole life.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He had 2 players.
Oh, sorry.
Right, Miggy started.
You're right. Sorry. Miggy's just been a lifelong Tiger, except for 3-4 years.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. But I'm just saying that it's very rare to have 2 guys with the same club the whole year with the free agency and everything. And McCutchen went to the owner of the Pirates and said, "Can I come back?" So loyalty is big on that page.
Yeah.
So you don't find that in pro sports anymore.
well, with McCutchen kind of starting and possibly ending your career in the same team, Zach Greinke is possibly doing the same thing. Now, Zach Greinke, people don't think he's this dominant pitcher anymore. Like, they think, oh, Waino is a better pitcher, and I think Waino is a better pitcher. But Greinke has a better chance of being in the Hall of Fame, and I think he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Great athlete, by the way.
Little nuts, too. Little nuts. Zach Greinke, Dad, I think it's his last year. Very similar to McCutchen. He re-signed with the Royals, and it feels like it's his last year. What are your thoughts?
I think it is. I think he's at the age that he's done everything. He's had his share of awards and everything. I think depending on how he does record-wise, he'll kind of see the writing on the wall and then bow out gracefully. But they say of all the pitchers that are in baseball right now, he may be the best athlete on the mound. He's that good. So, and he's 39. Yeah.
Yep.
Says a whole bunch.
He's 39. I mean, he's still a successful pitcher. This is like a reach depending on how many games he pitches this year. He could hit 3,000 strikeouts, which is a pretty easy Hall of Fame vote for my opinion. He's like 118 strikeouts away. So that's, for Greinke, that's going to be a full season if he pitches.
How many World Series has he been in? At least 2, right?
Let's see. He has been a World Series winner in...
Or at least participated.
None.
Really?
He was...
Okay.
He left Houston last year. He arrived after the 2017 scandal. He left the Royals before their 2015 thing. He was a Dodger before they won.
Okay.
Yeah, never won.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's not going to win in Kansas City this year.
This year.
So, what's funny? He went 4-9 last year, but still had a positive WAR. So, good for him.
He loved to hit too. He's one of the...
Yes, he loves to get hit because he's nuts. I like Zach Greinke. When we see people like Verlander, Scherzer, and Greinke all go up for the Hall of Fame voting, Greinke actually will be the first out of them, I think, just because Scherzer's and Verlander's contract is longer. I didn't even obviously include them on this list because they're going to still pitch. Obviously, they're pretty clearly Hall of Famers, but I really think Greinke is in that same stratosphere. It's almost like the Maddox, Martinez, Glavine. Clearly Maddox and Martinez, or Maddox and Johnson, if you're just a National League guy, you were in that same category, but Glavine was really just as good. I mean, but if Mike Mussina got in, Zach Greinke gets in. Nelson Cruz,
good analogy, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And freaking Jack Morris. I hate Jack Morris. He's in the Hall of Fame.
He got fired from his job, though.
Should be fired from the Hall of Fame. Nelson Cruz, Dad, I've been talking about him retiring for about 5 years now. Him and Adrian Beltre kind of got better with age. Obviously, Beltre's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's 43, is the oldest person on our list. He is on the Padres again. Or I don't know if it's again or first time because he's been on so many teams at this point. So this feels like the last attempt at a title for him. Every time he got traded to this team or traded to this team, or et cetera, et cetera. He has not won a World Series, despite being in the World Series, plural. Is this his last year, Dad?
Yes. I think, again, when you're 43 and his numbers went down last year, I know some of it was injury-related.
Some of it, him getting walked because there's no one else on the Nationals.
Yeah. I just think that he'll kind of, at the end of the season, go, I had a good run. I think he walks away.
He's 41 home runs away from 500. He's openly stated he wants to hit that.
Okay,
However,
he's not going to get it this year.
A 43-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, even Albert Pujols, which is one of the best hitters of all time, didn't hit 41 home runs his last year.
It's a 2-season gig.
His WAR was a 0 in 2022. So he hit 10 home runs.
Yeah, with the Padres lineup, outside of DH, is he going to be everyday DH or
Well, him and Carpenter are going to rotate based off platoons.
Well, he's not going to get 40 home runs being platoon.
No, I know that, but that's the argument that he wants to hit 500.
Okay.
But it's almost like a Fred McGriff type of thing.
Correct.
Speaking of Fred McGriff, maybe that's how Nelson Cruz gets in. I think Fred McGriff still had a better career. Dad, last one, I misspoke earlier. I thought McCutchen was the youngest. Clayton Kershaw is the youngest by just a couple months. Continues to sign one-year contracts. Continue to fake us out going to Texas. Just kidding. I'm staying in L.A. He will 100% hit 200 wins this year. He's 200 strikeouts away from 3,000 strikeouts at only age 35. Is this his last year, or is he doing more and more contracts?
He's doing more and more contracts. Eventually, if the Dodgers kind of like, say, we're doing a different direction, he'll end up probably with a team in Texas and everything else. But yeah, I think he's got probably 2 more years.
Why not? I mean, he's still great. Everyone thinks he's
Yeah.
washed up. I think people still fear Clayton Kershaw. You know how people they came up together, Madison Bumgarner and Kershaw, and they were equally feared, and now no one really fears Madison anymore.
Yeah.
He's like a 3rd, 4th starter. Kershaw, when I think of the Dodgers, I go Kershaw, and then I go, okay, Urias, okay, Gonsolin.
Yeah.
Like it's a drop off, And they're still great pitchers. Obviously, they had 20+ wins last season, but Kershaw
And a guy got hurt.
is who you worry about. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a gamer. He's just a gamer
For a long time.
Yeah.
He's had his bumps in the road when it comes to the World Series and the playoffs and all that stuff. But through the season, he's had remarkable, remarkable years. And he's still probably in the top 10 pitchers of the National League.
I think I chose these 7 because I think all 7 are going to retire. I don't want several of them to retire, but it was nice to hear my dad disagree. We always agree so much. I get comments that you guys have the same opinion. Well, we're father and son. I learned baseball from him, so I probably have a good amount of his opinions. But it was good to disagree with you on a few things, Dad. I would love to see Kershaw stick around. I think Greinke pitching for any team, just being an absolute character.
He may get traded at the deadline.
At spring training, he'll go into the stands in I don't want to say a disguise, but just sit and watch the game instead of being in the bullpen.
Yeah.
And just a different guy.
The when the rules were more relaxed, a lot of pitchers, especially relief pitchers, used to go to bleachers of Wrigley Field and just sit with the bleacher bums. And if they got needed, they come down wherever. But they would have a hot dog and beer with the people in the stands and have a great time, especially the pitchers from the Mets.
I know I only want to do 20 minutes, so I'm going to close out with this story of Zach Greinke. Another spring training story. He's just different. He's just a different guy. So there was this teenager that, again, this is his account. We don't know if it's real. There's no videos, but it was posted on Twitter a couple years ago. That went to spring training, got to meet Zach Greinke, and he signed my ball. After signing my ball, he threw it over the stadium into the parking lot and said, "I thought we were playing catch," and walked away.
That's a little odd.
So he's just an odd character, and again, I think. You know how there's Michael Jordan stories, and now there's becoming these Albert Pujols stories. I think Zach Greinke's going to have a little legend of himself in 10, 15 years. Did you play with Zach? Wasn't he an odd character? Wasn't he a weird guy?
They'll come out.
And they'll come out. I think they're going to be little fun stories about Zach Greinke, his career, especially at a Hall of Fame induction. It's almost like a roast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I want to talk about, Dad. Do you have any others that you want to draw attention to that I didn't?
No, that's a great group of 7 very, very good players.
Multiple Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I just think the so much talent that we talked about in 7 players, and to be in the major leagues for that long and that good, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Think about the pitchers and how they adjust and how the scouting reports are so, thorough these days and all that. They continued to be successful depending on all the technology and the scouting that they're out there. Talent. A lot of talent.
One thing I'll close with is I tallied up all of these 7 people's total earnings. We have a billionaire club over here with just 7 people.
Wow.
I know that's probably not as impressive anymore with the contracts they gave out this year, but don't forget a lot of these players started in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When the league minimum was nothing.
Yeah.
And they worked their way up. But yeah, all these people deserve a lot of, credit in their cities that they were for the longest time. I hope they get the recognition they deserve. I hope, the majority get into at least discussion of Hall of Fame. But yeah, they're 7 very good players.
We'll be on retirement watch, milestone watch this year. I hope you get to enjoy them, and feel free to check them out at a stadium near you. We got more podcasts coming to you. Immediately, we're going to pause this and then record another one. But give us a follow, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at PastimePodcast _ on Instagram and Twitter, and the Father and Son Pastime Podcast on Facebook. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.